Welcome back everyone to this week's episode of 3 Wide. I'm your host Radney Crawford. On this week's episode we are sticking strictly with the news that broke today that the NASCAR Cup Series will be returning to North Wilkesboro next season on May 21st, 2023 for the All-Star Race. We're going to go over all the details that's been made available for this race and also look at what the future could hold for Texas Motor Speedway. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So as I said, the All-Star Race, it will be run on a Sunday, May 21st of 2023 next year. 75th anniversary season for NASCAR. It's going to be a huge event. And the last Cup race that was run at this track was back in 1996, which was won by Jeff Gordon. Since then, the track has kind of remained dormant. There was some late model races back in 2010, 2011. Other than that, it's been a quiet track, you know, just kind of a piece of NASCAR history still sitting there. Over probably the past decade, it's slowly been gaining momentum, fans wanting this track to return in some shape, form, or fashion in the NASCAR schedule. They finally get their wish next year. Really, this whole movement has been spearheaded, at least since 2020, by Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's really, you know, taken the reins with this and can be given a lot of credit for this track returning. You know, they started back in 2020 getting this track on iRacing, and it's just kind of grown from there very, very rapidly. And up until a couple weeks ago, the last time any cars were on this track was back in 2011 with one of the major late model series. They took to the track in 2010, 2011, and since then it's just been a quiet track. And the Cars Tour, they kicked off last week with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the field. Carson Quaffle, he won the race in the kind of what's now the return of North Wilkesboro Raceway as far as getting it back into the national spotlight. And you can bet that this will be the hottest ticket for any NASCAR fan to get their hands on next year. They haven't announced a date yet for when the tickets will go on sale. It will be before the end of the year, but I expect tickets for this race to go very quickly. They will not last on the market for long. It's going to be a must-see event in person and on TV as well. This is going to be a huge race, probably besides, you know, the Daytona 500, one of the most anticipated races next season. Right now, the format for the race itself is unknown. Hopefully they keep it simple. You know, you don't break it down like they have over the past few years, you know, and kind of diluted the product of that is the All-Star race. So hopefully we get a straightforward, just good old-fashioned short track race, something, you know, drivers battling out there for simply the trophy and the check, and let the track do the work itself. This is a good worn out surface. They will not repave it up until this point. So it has the makings of a pretty good event. And fans are already calling on Twitter for the return of the pit crew competition. You know, they're going to be there, I believe it's the website said, over 3 days. And, you know, since we're already going old school, going back to North Wilkesboro, I would also love to see the pit crew competition where, you know, it's puts the spotlight on the pit crew guys. They don't get the spotlight often throughout the season. This gives them a chance to shine and really show, you know, them master their craft and just show how important these pit stops are. So hopefully we see the return of the pit crew competition next year. It'll be interesting to see what all events they have planned. I expect it to be a huge deal next season. And, you know, one of my bigger concerns is that is this happening too fast? You know, ever since the rumors were sent out yesterday, after they announced that there was going to be a press conference today up around the track with Dale Jr., you know, everybody immediately was saying this is going to be the return of the All-Star race next year at North Wilkesboro. Me personally, I was hoping that it would be held off until 2024 just because there's so much work that still needs to be done at this track in the infrastructure. You know, it's going to be a sold-out crowd. You can go ahead and guarantee that with the return of this kind of track, this magnitude All-Star race. Is going to be a hot ticket, like I said just a minute ago. And they're still doing work on the bleachers, and we're under a year away from when this All-Star race will take place. So there's going to be a lot of work that has to go in immediately. So is NASCAR, Marcus Smith, are they all up to task to get this done? I'm sure they have a list, you know, of exactly what needs to be done, what they want to see by the time this race rolls around. And the parking is, you know, going to be another big thing that has to be updated, has to be fixed and made sure, you know, it's taken care of, because this is going to be a sellout crowd. You know, you can pretty much guarantee that. It's going to be the All-Star race, the return to this famed historic NASCAR track. the tickets are going to go fast, and you better be ready for the amount of people that's going to be there. Right now, it seats about 18,000. Guarantee it's going to be sold out. Now, will they put any more grandstands up, before then? I'm not sure. But either way, you better make sure that your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and that everything is in place, just so it's a very good weekend. There's no negative taken out of it, and you have, no reason for NASCAR to say, yep, see, we shouldn't have come back here. It's just not able to maintain a cup race anymore. So either way, very exciting news to see this track come back. I'm looking forward to it, whether I'm able to be there in person or see it on TV. It is going to be, the countdown is on. I'm ready for this race to kick off now. And with now North Wilkesboro holding the All-Star race, whereas Texas has held it over the past couple of years, now what is the future of Texas Motor Speedway? They are now down to just one event a year, a points-paying event. Obviously, the rumors are out there that they're looking to kind of reconfigure the track. Some people were talking about to make it more of an Atlanta-style super speedway type racing. I hope they don't go that route with the reconfiguration. I would love to see it go to what it was in 2004, 2005, this multi-lane, just a bigger version of Atlanta. You had drivers that could run multi-lanes, up top, down low, and it would put on a great race. So that's going to be key now for Texas Motor Speedway. Is going to have to do something to get people to want to go back to that race. So, SMI owns both tracks. I know Marcus Smith is, I'm sure he has his list of things he would like to see changed at Texas Motor Speedway, just because that track has not had good reviews over the past years, ever since they've changed the track from what it was to what it is now. It's just now a single lane groove track, it seems like. Just overall not an exciting race to watch. So hopefully Texas Motor Speedway will come out the winning end of this as well, gets a new reconfiguration, gets exciting racing back on the track, and holds their spot on the schedule. And it's funny how this all comes full circle now. Back in 1996, after the last race at North Wilkesboro, it was Texas Motor Speedway that was going to be taking its place on the schedule starting in 1997. Now here we are, 2022, and they're announcing North Wilkesboro replacing Texas Motor Speedway on the schedule for at least the All-Star race. And for the fans that have been wanting more short tracks on the schedule, they get a big victory here. The return of North Wilkesboro on the schedule. This is something they've been clamoring for, not just more short tracks, but also the return of this track. This track holds a special place in a lot of fans' hearts, just because of the nostalgia, the racing that went on there, the legends that have won there. They wanted to see this track come back. I'm glad to see that, between the fans pushing, Dale Jr. getting on board, getting in the ear of Marcus Smith, getting in the ear of NASCAR, that this is really taken off the way it has. And hopefully it is, I don't see it being a disappointment. I expect this to be an exciting race, especially with the old surface. So now fans are going to have to show up, show out, and be fully, now's the time to put up or shut up. You need to show NASCAR that this track needs to stay on the schedule. You need to get a sellout. You need to get high ratings for this race. All the fans need to pull together and either sit at home, watch this race. If you're unable to go, if you are able to go, get there and get a seat. So that will wrap up this week's episode of 3 Wide. As always, I appreciate everyone for joining me and watching along. I will put the links below. You can click on and listen to this past week's episode of 3 Wide, the podcast. You can find it on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and many other podcast platforms. And don't forget, before you click off this video, to hit that subscribe button. And I will see y'all again next week, and we will go over any news that's broken between now and then. Could Kyle Busch be announcing his new ride by the time we get back together next week? Time will tell. Until then, enjoy the racing this weekend at Kansas, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your week.